The worldwide premiere of Jurassic World Rebirth is only 2 weeks away, and marketing is really ramping up. They've released so many clips in the past couple of weeks, and they reveal a lot, showing off the scenes with the Mosasaurus, the Spinosaurus, the Quetzalcoatlus, the Mutadon, and the T-Rex. And we've possibly had 3 deaths spoiled already. And literally while uploading this, more new footage released, so I'll talk about that at the end. I'm gonna go through in what I think is chronological order, so we're starting with the scene we had previously seen nothing of yet, and that is the Mosasaurus attack on the family. The family was out at sea on a sailboat and had their vessel flipped over by the Mosasaurus. In the process, Xavier, the boyfriend to the oldest daughter, must have been flung off the boat, leaving him at a bit of a distance, and he has to swim for his life to get back onto the hull of the boat before the Mosasaurus snatches him. Of course, we know he survives, we see him in later clips, but we also have this confirmation that he made it on top of the hull. I'm curious how they survive from this point on, because I see nothing standing in the way of the Mosasaurus just snatching them off the hull there, but perhaps this is the exact moment when the crew happens upon them and it throws the Mosasaurus off for a bit. With the family on board the crew's boat, the Mosasaurus attack continues while the crew attempts to harvest DNA from the marine predator. I'm so happy that after 10 years we finally get extended screen time for the Mosasaurus. This scene looks absolutely awesome. With my only nitpick being that I don't like trained operative Zora accidentally firing the dart because she gets splashed by the Mosasaurus. But it does lead to a good bit of teamwork between her and Henry as he retrieves a backup dart, and the whole scene is a very clear reference to Steven Spielberg's Jaws when the trio is out on the orca attaching barrels to the big shark. Gareth Edwards seems to have a thing for making references, which I will talk about more later on in this video with another scene that is full of Easter eggs. The Mosasaurus attack, I think, stands a good chance at being the most epic scene of the film. But as with a lot of these clips, I am worried they've shown too much too soon. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love what I'm seeing, but I would have preferred to have seen it first on the big screen while fully immersed. By the way, because of the copyrighted footage, I don't make any money off this video, so I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel so you can check out my reviews and rankings of Jurassic World Rebirth when it comes out. The Mosasaurus either purposefully steers the boat towards the island, or the crew decides to make haste towards the island, possibly thinking they'll lose the giant beast in the shallows. Unfortunately, the Mosasaurus uses the jagged shoreline to wreck the boat, and the 4 Spinosaurus are drawn into the attack. Yes, there are 4. They give chase and catch up with the boat, as the Mosasaurus probably did so much damage that it leaves the boat dead in the water. As they are surrounded, this guy opens fire on the dinosaurs, which will likely prove to be a deadly mistake. Before that though, we finally get a shot of the Spinosaurus underwater, seeing how it uses its webbed feet to swim. Back to this poor dude though. A Spinosaurus leaps out of the water and grabs him. We can see the Spinosaurus has its jaws clamped shut around his waist as it pulls him back. He manages to hold onto the doorframe for a moment, a shot that references the original Jurassic Park, but then he disappears from sight. As much as I don't like the marketing for the movie spoiling any of the kills, I'll be even more annoyed if he somehow survives this. He should not be able to survive this. The boat tilting has the young girl Isabella slide out through the open doorway and only just manages to hold onto the railing to stop herself from falling into the Spino-infested water. Of course, the girl has plot armor, so she's safe, although it'll be interesting to see how they get her out of this alive without making the plot armor too obvious. The new TV spots also show one element of the T-Rex raft scene that we hadn't seen yet, which is the Rex biting down on the raft under which Isabella is hiding. Another impossible to survive situation that she does in fact survive. The whole family survives the T-Rex scene thanks to 2 strategically placed rocks. While the family is busy not dying to the T-Rex, the crew is less fortunate in their encounter with the Quetzalcoatlus, and I think we have our second death spoiled. We'd already marked this guy as a goner based on the sequence of events in the first trailer, but the new clips really show us all but the exact moment itself. He's pulled up the cliff by Duncan and Martin at the top as the Quetzalcoatlus comes after him. Then in the following shot, we see the rope that he was attached to now in the mouth of the Quetzalcoatlus. So he either got gobbled down, or the beak was sharp enough to slice the rope, leaving him to fall to his death, while the Quetz then uses the rope to try and tug Duncan and Martin over the edge. Note how Martin is determined to keep the suitcase with DNA safe and close by. This will be his demise a little later on in a scene also spoiled by TV promos. But first we have the Mutadons dropping in. Literally. Inadvertently saving the crew from the velociraptors they chase off with their mere presence. The Mutadons also scatter the crew. The family heads into the gas station store, Duncan and Henry run up the walkway, and Zora and Krebs end up hiding under the car. Inside the store, the family barricades the door, but the Mutadon comes in through a hole in the roof, in a really cool shot showing its reflection first. It drops down into the store and makes its way down the aisle, with the family hiding on the other side of the shelves. This scene is full of references to the raptor kitchen scene from the original Jurassic Park. I've discussed this in a previous video, and I was on board with that. However, the more we see of the scene through these clips, the more references become apparent, and it's starting to get maybe a bit much. Especially in combination with the Mosasaurus attack heavily referencing Spielberg's Jaws. I like Easter eggs and references, which show that the movie maker has seen the classics and it's a nice homage if done well. But if done in excess, it makes me worry that the movie is too afraid to stand on its own feet. David Koepp said in an interview that he does not like banking on nostalgia. It seems to me like Gareth had a different take. I just hope that they leave it at this with the Easter eggs and references, because the embodiment of the DiCaprio meme is not the watch experience that I'm hoping for. I don't want to watch this movie and go every 5 minutes, oh, I remember that, oh, this reminds me of that, oh, this is from that scene. I just want to be surprised and wowed in new and original ways. Also, Gareth, if you think that kitchen scene was so cool that you had to copy it, you could have just given us the raptors instead of replacing them with the Mutadons. Just a thought. After the family somehow escapes from the gas station, the characters go through a tunnel, still being pursued by the Mutadon, but Zora manages to close a gate just in time to save all of them. At this point, Martin is no longer with them. Not in that way. Well, not yet at least. He sped off with the car and the suitcase full of valuable DNA, seemingly willing to leave the rest to die while he saves himself and the DNA. Unfortunately for him, the T-Rex ruins his escape, and I'm fairly certain this is Martin's death scene, so the third to have spoiled. Again, it's a case of, I just don't see how he would make it out of this alive, at least not in a way that wouldn't then piss me off for how contrived and unrealistic it would be. He should die here. And from a story perspective, it makes sense as well that the token villain, the big pharma guy, gets taken out by this abomination. In total, that means we have potentially seen 4 deaths already. Because we've also seen this woman who, although might not die in this exact shot, she definitely does die during this attack, as she's not present for any of the other scenes. And the 3 that we've discussed in this video. This guy should be a Spino snack at this point, this guy dies to the Quetzalcoatlus, and Martin apparently gets taken out by the T-Rex. Are those all the deaths in the film? Did the TV promos spoil them all? Or do we have 1 or more left in the final encounter between the crew and the T-Rex, which we have also seen more of thanks to the new clips? They are really not bothering hiding the T-Rex or anything anymore. I really feel like they're just showing it all. As much as it would be a huge waste to lose Mahershala Ali, to have his character die in this installment, unable to return for future sequels, I do think there is a chance he dies. There's also a chance that after everything they've seemingly spoiled, Gareth has one surprise up his sleeve, which is instead for Henry Loomis to die. Again though, would be a shame to lose that actor. Maybe they'll go for the full emotional blow and take out the dad last minute. Whatever the case may be, I do hope someone dies in this final encounter. Because if all these characters survive, then we did indeed have all deaths seemingly spoiled in the TV promos, which would be a shame. I gotta say, while I think they're showing way too much, and while I think that kinda stinks of desperate marketing, I do really like what I see. So I guess I do understand where this marketing strategy is coming from, because the scenes that they show me do get me more hyped up for the movie. At the same time, I was gonna see it anyway, so you know, from my perspective, it would have been nice for some of this stuff to have still been a surprise, to have still been under wraps and all secret and mysterious. But I understand that for a lot of people, they probably felt like they needed to put a lot out there to convince them to get back into the theaters after the disappointment that was Dominion. I just hope the film does still have surprises in store for us, not just in terms of deaths, but just big scenes we haven't seen yet. But I kinda doubt it. I think they laid all their cards out on the table, which is a bit of a shame. The London premiere is going on right now, which apparently means even more new footage. Exactly while I'm wrapping up a video about how they're already showing so much, possibly too much, they show even more. My favorite new shots are those of the T-Rex. Every time I see something from this scene, I just get very excited. But possibly most interesting is our first glimpse at the Velociraptor, barely visible as it gets bodied by the Mutadon. The Mutadon usurping the raptors as the small, hyper-dangerous carnivore is something I'm still not a fan of, and I'll keep wishing the raptors get a moment to redeem themselves as the scariest threat of the franchise. Subscribe to the channel if you are curious to hear my reviews with and without spoilers when the movie comes out.